Okay, so we're back with another video today and we're going to talk a little bit more about protein. The reason being, a few people have asked me if I can go through some of the foods they can eat to kind of increase their protein consumption, because it's something that some people find particularly difficult. And also, I'm going to just reiterate a few points as to why you need a little bit more protein in your diet, especially when you're trying to lose weight. So the reasons for that, first and foremost, are that protein helps with growth and repair of muscles. So it's going to help you recover in between your sessions. So an increased amount is necessary to help you recover from your training sessions. Also, when you're trying to lose weight, what you're trying to do is trying to lose fat and maintain / build some muscle. So in order to do that, you need to increase your protein consumption so that you don't lose muscle and fat whilst you're losing weight, because that's not an ideal, that's not something we want to do. So protein is also going to help fill you up for longer. So if you were to have the same amount of calories from, say, just chicken breast and bread, the chicken breast will typically fill you up longer than the bread, even though there's the same amount of calories in each one, because the chicken has more protein than the bread. So like the chicken would have probably like about 30 grams of protein versus the bread's 5. So even though the calorie count is the same, the chicken's probably going to be a better option because it's going to fill you up for longer, which is great, because when you're trying to lose fat and you're trying to lose weight and you're on a slightly calorie restricted diet, you want to be able to try and avoid overeating. So that's perfect for that. So increased protein is important in that area. And also increased protein helps bulk out of your meals. So it actually can look like you're eating more than you actually are, which is beneficial psychologically. So now that's out of the way and you kind of understand a little bit more about why we're trying to eat more protein, the amount of protein you eat per day will vary from person to person based on their goals, their lifestyle, history, and potentially a few other things too, but you'd need to kind of break that down. So typically, like a generalized rule would be to try and aim for 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight to 2 grams per kilo of body weight of protein. So an 80 kilo person would be aiming for somewhere between 120 to 160 as a rough starting point. But that may be lower or it may be higher based on the variables that I discussed before. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, with regards to actual increased protein consumption from food, let's go through a few of my favorites and go-tos that I think are pretty easy and pretty convenient for people to use, okay? So firstly, I'm just going to start with regular chicken breasts. These are from just Sainsbury's. These are from Sainsbury's. So 100 grams of chicken is typically going to have about 140 calories and 30 grams of protein, which is a great ratio. So when you're on a calorie-restricted diet, you want to try and look for foods with a higher protein to calorie ratio. So 30 grams of protein with only 140 calories is really, really good. Something else that's really, really good is tuna. Again, tuna's low fat, high protein. So 100 grams of tuna has only got 99 calories and it's got about 24 grams of protein. May differ between 1 or 2 grams between brands, but that's a pretty solid number. So at this I think this can of tuna's got about 32 grams of protein in one can, which is pretty good. So if you were only trying to say hit 100 a day, that's going to take you a third of the way there, right there. Then we can go on to, this is chicken again actually, this is barbecue chicken, but it's ready to eat stuff that I bought from Tesco earlier to show that you can get some fairly quick on the go, quite conveniently. This is barbecue chicken, tastes really, really good, and you can just take it and eat it straight away. Slightly less protein, 25 grams per 100 calories, per 100 grams, so slightly less than the regular chicken breast, and slightly more calories, actually 140 calories. Which is slightly more. No, it's not. I apologize. It's exactly the same. But this has slightly less protein, has slightly more carbohydrates because of the barbecue sauce that's on it. But really, really good in a pinch. Like this one has over 40 grams of protein in the bag because it's about 180 grams, and you can just grab it and go. So that's excellent. Here we have 5% fat pork mince. So I bought the slightly leaner pork because again, higher protein to calorie ratio when you buy the reduced fat versions. So we're looking at 126 calories per 100 grams and 21 grams of protein, only 4.7 grams of fat, so that's pretty good. You can also get the 4% turkey mince, that works really well in turkey breasts. I've bought a slightly higher percentage fat beef steak mince here to kind of show you the difference. So this one has about 40 calories more than the pork mince. for a slightly less protein. This has 20 grams of protein versus the 21, but it has 40 calories more because of the extra fat. So where possible, try and buy the leaner cuts. This is actually pretty good still for beef steak mince, because you can get some that's actually 20% fat. So the 10% one is actually a good way to go. So next up we have good old eggs. Eggs are great. You're looking at about 6 grams of protein per egg, depending on the size of the egg, but you're also looking at about 6 to 8 grams of fat per egg, again, depending on whether you buy small, medium, or large eggs. So they do have a slightly higher fat content to the protein ratio, so that's something to bear in mind with those, but they are a great source of protein, and there's about 60 calories per egg. So 3 eggs would be about 18 grams of protein for 180 calories. Still a pretty solid ratio. Next up, I absolutely love these. The Total 0% Farge yogurt. These are about £1 each. If you buy a bigger pot, you can probably get it cheaper. 97 calories, 17 grams of protein. That's a really, really, really good ratio. And you can grab these quickly on the go and just get 20 grams of protein in really, really quickly, really, really easy. Make a great snack in between meals, and also pre-bed snack if you feel like you need something like a little bit desserty. You can have one of these, a little bit of honey and maybe some berries, that type of thing, some fairly sweet. That goes down really, really well. And it's like I say, it's an extra 17 grams of protein for only 97 calories, so you can't really go wrong with it. Sticking with the dairy theme, milk. Milk's a great source of protein if you can handle dairy fairly well. So 300, like a pint of milk, sorry, if you do 500 ml of milk, you're looking at about 18 grams of protein. And about 250 calories, so slightly higher calorie ratio than say the meat-based items, but if you're having this from some porridge and stuff, then there is protein in the milk. Lastly, on the protein front, we could talk about just whey protein. Now everyone has this kind of like, well, not everyone, but some people have this stigma against whey protein, saying that it's just for like bodybuilders and weightlifters and things, but that's not the case. A scoop of that, 1 scoop, 100 calories, 20 to 25 grams of protein, depending on which brand you buy. Really, really solid, really, really, really solid macronutrient ratio in terms of the protein to calorie ratio, and a great way of just getting something in as a snack. What I like to do is I like to mix a scoop of that with one of these pots, and I get like 40 grams of protein right there. Have that before bed, and you know, it makes up like a big dent. If you're trying to get 120 grams of protein in a day, you've got 40 grams right there. You only need to get 80 grams spread out for the rest of the day. That's not particularly difficult to do. So then there's other things. So they're like protein-rich foods that I like. And then you can go on to other things like bread has protein in. So if you had 2 slices of bread with a tuna sandwich or whatever, then a slice of bread is probably going to contain between 4 and 6 grams of protein, depending on which one you buy, but also about 100 calories per slice. So you have to bear that in mind. Rice, again, has protein in. Pasta has about 10 to 11 grams of protein in per 100 grams, but it also has 360 calories. So something to bear in mind there, but you're probably not going to have like 100 grams of pasta at one time anyway. Like I said, rice has some protein in. Oats, porridge oats in the morning, you're looking at about 10, 11 grams of protein per 100 grams there, but also about 360 to 370 calories. Things like Weetabix and your cornflakes, other cereals and things like that, they're all going to contain protein too. So when you buy them, have a look on the box and just have a look, because then you'll get a better idea of what you're dealing with as an overall kind of goal. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about mixed nuts, because for some reason, everyone has it in their heads that they're a great source of protein. But the reality is 100 grams of these mixed nuts is going to contain 20 grams of protein, okay? So pretty much the same amount as this pork mince, right? But this pork mince contains 126 calories for those 20 grams of protein. These nuts contain 600 calories for those 20 grams of protein. So that's what we're talking about when we're trying to compare the protein to calorie ratio. So mixed nuts are actually, you would have more nuts in your diet if you needed to increase your fat content and have slightly higher calories, not so much if you were going for protein. So yes, they are technically what people would deem healthy, in the sense they've got healthy fats, but you have to look at it in perspective and think, you know, if I have 50 grams of mixed nuts, which is like a small handful, then you're looking at 300 calories right there. So if you're trying to eat I don't know, 1200, 1300 calories a day, hypothetically, that's taking up quite a big quota for not much protein. So you have to bear that in mind. So that's typically some great foods that you can buy that are going to be high in protein, that you're going to be able to supplement into your diet and increase your overall intake with. If you've got any actually suggestions of your own that I haven't mentioned here, because I haven't covered everything by any stretch of the imagination, comment them below. Share with other people what you find to work in terms of trying to increase your protein intake and help each other out, because there's plenty of other options you can have, but these are just some of my go-tos and some of my favorites in terms of the protein to calorie ratio. So I hope that's helped, and if you've got any questions, ping them below and I'll answer them.